Lately, I've been in a bit of a mech mood. While there is a decent backlog of games ranging from the Armored Core series to the Front Mission games, I was looking for something a bit more modern. That led me to today's early access game called Dual Gear. It markets itself as a tactical action turn-based mech game, which is right up my alley. Can this title help quench my thirst, or is it better to drink from another watering hole? Whatever the hell that's supposed to mean. So when you start this game, you are greeted with a tutorial, and the tutorial is a bit on the slow side, but it goes through what the game mostly has to offer at the moment. The voice acting is in Japanese, so you'll have to rely on the poor translation, English translation here. And I gotta be honest, it becomes a big issue when it comes to storytelling. I mean, you could still understand what's going on and what's the controls and stuff. I think that is fine, but when it comes to the story, it's really bad, and we'll get into it later. So after the tutorial, this is when you're taken to your first real mission, and the combat, as I said before, is an action turn-based combat system. So I would say the best way is to think of Valeria Chronicles mixed with Front Mission, and you have a good idea of what to expect. So you move each character and spend both energy and AP to perform actions. Ammo is also a factor on certain weapons depending on the weapon that you're using. Melee obviously doesn't matter, but ranged it does. The UI can be a bit confusing at first glance, but you will get used to it the more you play. So it does definitely take some time, but you'll get used to it eventually. The controls feel good for the most part, although boosting can be hard to stop at times. For the rest of the combat, I would say the combat is definitely a plus in this game, and I really like the fighting. I really like taking down enemies, the force feedback, although there is definitely some unbalancedness when it comes to the weapons. After each mission, you will also get some story bits, and it's mainly just text with a couple of cutscenes thrown in there. And this is, like I mentioned, where you see a ton of the translation errors, and the game is trying to go for a very serious and very dark tone, and the translation errors kill all tone just because it's hard not to laugh on some of these errors that you'll end up seeing. It's just hard to take seriously. So in between missions, you'll have a base of customization, and there is a crap ton to do here. You could purchase new parts, customize your mechs, learn new skill for the pilots with each of them, and the customization is insane. It's not just for each mech part and the weapons and stuff like that, which there's a ton of it. It's also for paint and decal tools. It's really a lot. And as I mentioned before, some of the parts that you'll find later on that you'll buy are just crazy overpowered and can make the missions that are on offer just a breeze to go through. But I really enjoy this aspect of customizing and equipping your mechs and all that stuff. It's what I love the Armored Core series for, and what I love most mech games for is the deep amount of customization that it gives you. So I'm really curious to see what else the developers have in store. Maybe something like a specific kind of arms with weapons attached. Who knows? Really looking forward to what's out there. So once you beat the 3 story missions, you get a skirmish mode, and it basically is a bunch of waves of enemies to face. And the longer you go for, the higher your reward count. You'll get more money for it. Although the payoff is pretty low, you get a lot more money just doing the story missions. So if you want to just get as much money as you can, just do the 3rd mission and you'll get a good payoff. But to be fair, in the skirmish mode, you do see a bit more, some enemies that you don't see in the story mode, so it's cool to experiment a little bit over there. And that, I think, is really the only issue with this game, at least on the any major issue, is just that the game has been out for a year without many major updates at all. However, the major update that they said that was going to happen earlier this year is actually going to be happening on December 22nd, 2021. They do have a roadmap, but because that day is moved, like since they had to push it back to December instead of it being Q2 or Q3 of this year, it's going to push everything else back, and I'm not sure how that's going to be affected. And it does look like there is a good amount of features that will be added, along with 5 new missions and some alterations to the 3 that are already present. So I'm curious to see how the game is going to be after that update, and it could help with the $20 price tag. So the graphics are okay. The art style is pretty good. I like the anime-ish art style, but it has very low fidelity. Kind of looks like an early PS3 game, late PS2 game, even a PSP game. We're gonna be honest. It's on the Unity engine, so I'm pretty sure that's the reason why most Unity engine games have to be stylized, because I rarely see like jaw-dropping Unity engine games. I see it way more often on the Unreal, but I don't want to get into that debate. The music is also okay, but it gets very repetitive very quickly just because there's only a handful of tracks to go from. So despite the lack of content, I'd still recommend it, but definitely be cautious with your mileage. If you don't feel like there's enough there, then I would tell you to wait out a little bit. Wait till after December 22nd. They may do like a little sale. I don't know this information, so don't quote me. But usually for early access games, if there's like a big update, usually there's a sale that happens, maybe like a 10 or a 20%, maybe 25 if they're feeling frisky. But usually there's a sale around that time, so probably it'll be better to wait there to see what it is. But even so, I would still recommend you to get it if you can find it on sale, because honestly I still plan to play with it a bit more, just going to test out a couple different builds and weapons. And like I said, that's one of the things I love in mech games, is just to come up with different builds and see what you can succeed. Maybe a heavy mech, a heavy tank kind of mech, or maybe like a smaller faster mech, and just see how that works in the grand scheme of things. Overall, I hope you guys enjoy this review. Thank you guys for watching as always, and this is Powerhouse signing off.